Okay, let's go to the section B, crop field, water and seed. Okay, number one, section B, number one has contamination of the field. This is about heavy metal contamination. If in order to verify, in order to verify whether it's compliant to the standard or not, inspector needs to see the heavy metal content testing report. So heavy metal test report for the soil is required, but actually it's not mandatory. It's not necessarily to have all the farms, but if there is a risk of the contamination on the farm, the surroundings, such as miners or like a landfill, waste landfill, or the refinery, or the if producers are using continuously the input which containing some heavy metals until the application file, then in this case, inspector have to take the sample, the soil sample for heavy metal testing. But if no such risk, if no such risk surrounding the farm or on the farm, it's not necessary. So simply write here the circle and add some comment here. As I observe the farm surroundings, there was there's no risk of the heavy metal contamination surrounding from the surroundings. No miners, no landfills, no such a risk area have not found during the inspection. So this kind of statement description is very important. This kind of verification is important for the evaluator, the approver. Just without any explaining, just make circle. It's hard for the evaluator to understand what's happened during the audit. So inspector's verification and observation should be added to the comment section here. Okay, this is so. Please remember that this is about the heavy metal contamination. So if just in case if operator have the heavy metal test report recently done by the operator, ask to submit it and then attach it to your report and check the contents of the test report, and then based on the test report whether the farm the soil mineral contents of the soil is in compliance to the standard or not. That should be evaluated to the standard. Okay, those things should be summarized here in the comment section. Okay, next one is the culture medium requirement. This one is not applies to the agricultural product. This is applies to the mushroom or something, but there was no cases to apply the mushroom from another country, so we'll skip this. So NA, not applicable. Okay, number 3, regular soil testing and improvement measure taken. And this is another kind of soil testing. This is about the soil nutrition testing. So Korean certification requires Korean certification regulation requires to the regular soil nutrition testing. So regular inspections must be conducted on the soil of the crop field to maintain and improve its fertility and prevent excessive accumulation of salt. In many cases, I I've experienced a lot of inspections in other countries. There was no risk of salt accumulation. Because in Korea, most of the farms are using too much inputs, like animal compost or some other inputs. But in other countries like South America and North America, they are not using much of the inputs. That's why there's no, as far as I know, there's no risk of the soil accumulation. But still, Korean certification standard require to do the regular soil testing. So this soil testing, nutrition testing, is necessary. It's mandatory to the all crops, regardless the inputs are used or not. So, but it's not yearly testing. It's not about yearly testing. Regular based testing. So, an inspector needs to check the recent soil nutrition test report. Even if it's done 2 or 3 years ago, it's okay. So the inspector needs to check on the soil nutrition test and the soil pH or the CEC, something the contents on the test report. If something is too much or something is not enough, then ask it to the operator. What is the operator's plan for the soil fertility program? So in many cases, the organic operators, producers in other countries, they do the crop rotation, and then they use permitted input fertilizers, organic fertilizers to the soil, and that's the prevention method. So all those things must be summarized here. So in fact, the important thing is the producer, they do the regular soil testing or not. This is important. So if never done the soil testing up to now, it's non-compliant. So you have to check non-conformity. And describe here the operator, he didn't do soil testing until now, but he has a plan to the operator has planning to do the soil testing upcoming season, but it's not enough. So in this case, I think inspector have to take a soil sample, and give to the operator to send it to the laboratory for the soil nutrition test. So what items should be tested? It's like normal items normally tested in this location, this area. So there's no such specific items to be tested, like nitrogen, phosphorus, like a major element or the minor element, and the pH or something. It's like simply couple of items to be testing could be okay. Anyway, it's all the inspectors should remind that the regular soil test report is necessary for the Korean certification, and that should be attached onto the report. Okay, go to the next one. Is soil chemical residue testing of soil. Chemical residue testing of soil. Number 4. Chemical residue must not be detected in the soil of the crop plots. The limit for the any chemical detection is the 0.01 ppm. Also, the chemical residues should not be detected from the soil. In order to verify whether it's compliant to the standard or not, we have to check the the test report is necessary, but this is not mandatory. If inspector found the symptoms or the risk area of this chemical contamination of the soil, then the inspector have to take the sample and send to the laboratory for the chemical residue testing. But if inspector haven't seen the risk or symptoms of using chemical products onto the soil, it's not necessary. So please can put here the confirm circle and then add here some verification or the description on this comment section. So as for during the audit, all the field the runs are verified, and there was no the prohibited chemical products are not found during the audit. So this kind of short verification or the description is important for us to understand the situation. Okay. So chemical heavy metal testing is not necessary, but inspector's observation is very important. And the regular soil, this is talking about the soil nutrition test, and this is necessary. Operator must have the regular soil test report. If the operator has no any soil nutrition test report, inspector have to take the sample and give it to the operator to send it to the laboratory. And the chemical residue testing of the soil is not necessary, but if there's a risk of the soil contamination, the inspector have to take a sample and send it to the laboratory. Soil nutrient test could be done by the operator, but the soil heavy metal test and the soil chemical residue testing should be done by the certification body. Okay, and next one is the conversion period of the field. Sorry. Okay. Here you can say that it is confirmed because basically all the fields are locally certified by the local certifier. So if it's already certified by the local certifier, Korean standard will not ask again for the conversion period again. So it says here all the fields are locally certified by local certification body. That's why or the conversion period or transition periods are done. So this kind of verification or the add comments is important for the approver. But if no such description or the verification, the approver will not approve the inspection report. So please add more information on here. Okay. Number 6, reason for reduce of the conversion period. In some cases, the conversion period, the transition period could be reduced. But normally this is not applies to the foreign operators. So this one is always not applicable. Okay. But because all the fields are already certified by the local certifiers, that's why there's no reason to reduce the conversion period because it's already done. Okay, next one is the conversion period of the water product. This one is not applied to the foreign operators. This is about water product. So always this one will be always not applicable. Okay. Okay, next one is the number 8, agriculture water use. Okay, although there are the long sentence of the standard here, no need to see details because mostly this is now applies to the foreign operators. So simply, it's if whether the operator has the water test report or not. So water test report, in case of Korea, the water quality control is very strict. So for the water used onto the organic field must be above the agricultural water quality level. But in other countries, there's no such kind of the control. That's why if they have a control water test report for the like microbial and the coliform or the E. coli testing, that will be enough. In North America and South America, they might have the water test report if they use the well water, underground water. They might have, the operator might have the test report. But in case of not using any water, but just dependent on to the rainwater, this one would be not applicable. And they'll add here, this form is just dependent on to the rainwater. Any water is not irrigated during the season, but if some underground water or the river water used onto the organic field, test report for the water would be necessary for this. Okay, next one is number 9, organic seed and seedling. For the perennial crop, I think this one will not apply to the perennial crop like orchard. For the grains, like annual crop, so firstly, the organic seed must be used to the organic field, organic seed. Not only the Korean certified seed, but the other certified seed could be used to the Korean certified field. It also considered as organic seed. But if organic seed is not commercially unavailable, in this case, conventional seed cannot be used, but it should not be treated. So there are 2-3 separate couple of things to verify on the inspection, but this one could be verified during the document review stage. For the because we are using the seed log log form here, this seedling usage report. This is a part of the organic system plan. So all the seeds have to specify here seed type, brand, and source, planting time. If it's organic, have to mark here organic. If it's not organic, then have to mark here whether it's treated or non-treated. And if it's treated, they have to check, describe here. Have to write here what is the treatment, what's inoculant something. Have to be written here. And if it's a GMO, have to check here. But if not GMO, just leave blank. Okay, so during the audit, so if it's organic, the inspector have to ask to the operator for the organic certificate. And then if it's not organic, the inspector have to ask to the operator, require to the operator to submit the untreated affidavit and non-GMO affidavit for the seed. So if it's treated by something, then the specification for the treatment should be required to the operator. Okay, so this is the seed log here, seed and the seedlings and the perennial sapling or the nursery tree. So depending on the crop items, all the details should be summarized here. Okay, so in this case, this is organic seed and seedlings. You have to verify against to the seed log, or whether the operator is using this seed as described on to the organic system plan. So your verification, if it's used as stated on to the organic system plan, please check here, yes, confirm. But if you found something is not on the list, you have to check here, not confirmed, and add here the comments what you have seen, what you have verified onto the form, and what you have seen. So what you have to take the photo of like a label of the seed labeling to verify the what seeds are used on the farm, and then invoice, and the label invoice should be verified during the audit, audit trail, document audit trail. Okay, so most of the general information of the seed should be summarized here, and then number 10, use of the non-GMO seed. You have to write here if there is a certain risk of the GMO contamination to the seed, have to write here. But in most of cases, if it's an organic seed, then if it's all certified organic seed, then you can say here, since all the certified organic seeds are used, no risk of the GMO contamination. But some seeds were suspected of GMO contamination, but by verification of the non-GMO statement or non-GMO declaration, it has found that the seeds are not the seeds are not from the GMO. The seed has no GMO contamination. Okay, let's go on to the number 11, use of the seedlings. In most of the cases, seedlings are not used to the foreign operators. But seedling, if in some cases seedlings are used, that should be organic. Seed, for the seed, it could be conventional, but seedlings is different. Seedlings must be organic. Okay, but in most of the cases, this is not applicable. Okay, and then go to the number 12, risk assessment. If there's any source of the contamination, such as a joint, pest control area near the crop field, then prepared buffer zones or the protection facilities must be placed. And the signs clearly indicate that the field is for the organic agriculture, and forest products must be placed where clearly visible, such as at its entrance or dividing space between the field by nearby crop fields. Okay, this is talking about the risk assessment. If there's a risk from the surroundings, like a drift of the chemicals, if there's a orchard from the certified field, and then if the boundary is not enough to prevent or the contamination from the adjoining land, it may be the buffer area is needed to prevent the contamination from the other source. So in this case, inspector will have to check the OSP. In OSP, there's a section for this. Here it says, is there any risk that the certification law will be contaminated with the pesticide due to the factors such as the existence of pesticide control area near the crop field? If no, then inspector should verify whether there is such a risk area or not. So if it's no here, then inspectors, if it's a yes, then applicant have to summarize here how to prevent the risk, contamination risk from the another field. What's the measurement to protect the soil from the contamination outside? So all these things should be verified during the audits. So go to the all the boundaries and check whether there is a risk or not. So if it has enough buffer, enough border, or the wind breakers, or the fence or the ditches to prevent some contamination from the other source, that should be described and summarized here. So because it's found that all the fields have like 20 or the 20 or the more than 30 feet of the boundaries, and then it was enough to prevent the contamination from other source. Or like 3 feet of the ditches were between the organic and non-organic field, so it was enough to prevent contamination from the other source. So such a kind of statement is important on this section here. So also whether the operators are installed the organic signs on the field, that's important to show them this is organic field, no spray sign. All this measurement is important. So inspector needs to verify whether all these things are implemented on the farm or not. Also, there's another risk of the contamination. If the operator using his own equipment or farming equipment, if it's only for organic, it's okay. But if the operator using outsourced, like subcontracted the worker, for instance, the harvester is rented. Some other subcontractors are coming to the organic field and do some harvesting. In this case, organic field could be contaminated by the equipment, because those equipment could be used to the conventional and get into the organic field without any cleaning. So in this case, like a sprayer, if the organic producer do some spray onto the crop, but he doesn't have any sprayer, so sometimes he using air sprayer, which is done by the subcontractor. In this case, a certified operator make sure that the equipment had been cleaned before using on his field. So the statement or the declaration should be kept on the operator. Operator must be able to provide the cleaning record, the cleaning statement for the equipment, or which had been used by third party. So that's the risk assessment. All those things should be verified during the audit, and then summarize here the verification. And then if there is a risk, then it's non-confirmed, non-compliant. Then they have to mark here X. But if it was enough to prevent all the contamination from the other source, please confirm, circle here. Okay, this one is not applicable. Either confirm or not confirm. Okay, and the separate management plan for the contamination source. If buffer zone is necessary due to the contamination source nearby, a management plan must be established and implemented for all produce grown in the buffer zone. So if there is a buffer crops in the buffer zone, inspector needs to check whether the operator have implemented the plan in the OSP. So first important thing is to add the written plan on the OSP. This side, field number, for instance, field number 8 has some buffer area, and then we grow some buffer crops on that area, and then we're planning to harvest it separately and then sold as the conventional. So all those things should be described and summarized onto the OSP, and then it has to be verified during the audit by auditor, and then it should be summarized somewhere here. Okay, so more details we're gonna discuss later. I will just do the brief explanation on to the inspection report here, and next time we will see more details. Okay, thank you very much.